What is up, everybody? Me and Matt here on the Rewatchers Council for the MCU. It's going to be a shorter one just because it's not as many people on here to give their thoughts and everything. It's going to be me and Matt going, I couldn't say solo, I guess duo on this one right here for Ant-Man as part of our MCU Rewatchers series. Matt, how you doing?
Chilling. I like this movie. I'm
Chilling?
ready to talk about it.
Chilling like a villain. Probably outside
Mhm.
on his front porch enjoying the calmer weather, I would say, there in the Los Angeles vicinity.
Mhm.
The original LA over here, boy, that's hotter than I don't know what, son. I'm telling you right now, you walk out, you get instant swamp ass. That happens
Ooh.
instantly. Instantly. But with that being said, man, let's get into the movie. Matt, like upon your rewatch here, what did you think about this film?
Yeah, I like this movie. I like it more than when I first saw it for sure. Um, it's funny and it's like naturally funny. I don't think they force jokes in this one. Um,
I think Paul Rudd helps out a lot with that. To be perfectly
yeah,
honest with you, I think he's like a really good actor. To me, I've always kind of liked a lot of the stuff he's in. Like the way he portrays a lot of things, and no doubt, like I totally agree with that.
yeah, but also they had Michael Douglas in this, which was a big
Mhm.
get for them to me. And he actually like
Yeah,
took the role serious.
yeah. I mean, he brings weight to the film. I wouldn't even call him like a side character. He is like a main character in the film.
Yeah,
So he's not just like this guy who shows up just a couple of times. He does pretty well. Like you said, you get like especially these older actors that used to be in movies, possibly even trying to win Academy Awards and stuff, and put them in movies like this right here. Sometimes you expect them to just phone it in and kind of be like garbage crap, and I don't think he was. I thought he did pretty well uh,
hmm
inside the story.
yeah,
But yeah, man, like I don't. I enjoyed this movie, but one of the things about this rewatch that I've been noticing, like as I've been kind of watching them again and kind of critiquing them about what I think, I still enjoy this movie. And I enjoyed it when it first came out as well. But like the thing is, I'm starting to see the cracks in the foundation of what we end up getting further along into the MCU. The things that started like making it to where maybe I'm not as excited, or maybe I don't watch them like the first watch kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I wait for it to come on streaming or something like that before I pay attention to it.
yeah.
And so, like with this one, the only kind of like bad thing I would say that I started noticing in this was not the comedy, like I said, because I agree with you. I think the comedy in this one right here works with the style of movie that they were doing, like kind of like high style movie. Ant Man's trying to steal stuff a couple of times, like he was a thief before he became Ant Man, and now he's Ant Man. He even goes into the Avengers thing and he fights Falcon a little bit, which I actually thought was kind of cool, and that kind of thing. So like it fits like that kind of like situation, add some comedy in there. But the main thing to me was is like this reminded me a lot. It's an origin story, and even though it's done a little differently, like it kind of resembles to me the first Iron Man that we've done in the rewatch. Because you got Hank Pym, and he's got a guy that he kind of like has as supposed to be a friend of his and everything that works in this business or whatever you want to call it together, and then that guy turns out to be the bad guy, kind of like an Iron Man. You have the same sort of deal. The only difference is instead of being Hank Pym, somebody that's not actually playing the main character, it was actually Iron Man's friend, that was in the business with him. That's kind of the evil guy that's in the corporation trying to do things,
Yeah.
outside the realm or whatever, basically turning their back because they're too like power hungry or greedy or whatever you want to call it. It's kind of got that same feel, to it when you look at it like that. Some similarities when it comes into it. And that's one of the things that ends up, going on as you go through the MCU movies, especially with the ones that had like origin stories like this one right here, is there was a lot of copy and paste, right? The whoever the supposed to be the good guy is going through some things, kind of like Iron Man, like he's a guy selling like weapons to everybody, kind of a piece of crap, guy at the very beginning of the movie. Then he has some things happen, then it turns into, you know, him trying to do things and be better. Same thing here with the Ant Man, like he's trying to like uh stories a little differently because he's trying to get closer to his daughter and everything else and all this. But he's like a thief to make money, doing dead end jobs and all this other stuff. And then he becomes the Ant Man, and then he's got like the power to try to do things better and stuff like that. And he goes on his journey of being able to do that, and then he ends up having to fight like a corporate, supposed to be the corporate friend, like I was saying earlier, that turns out to be
Yeah.
a piece of crap. So, and that's the kind of thing that I'm saying.
With the same technology, also.
Yeah, with some of the same technology, like somebody really smart that can do some stuff and everything else. I mean, do you overall agree with that? Do you kind of see that crack like I do in the foundation going back and watching this? It's like the movie's enjoyable. It was good enough and all that. And you still had fun watching it, but then you're noticing, oh, wait, this is part of the beginning of like some of the stuff that causes problems down the road.
Yeah, I can see that. But to me, what I liked was that his story actually like mimicked Hank Pym's too, because they both had their daughters. They're like trying to do stuff for.
Mhm.
So I like that part. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. Definitely a lot of similarities there. Like,
No, and I think the movie does a good job of portraying this guy that down on his luck kind of situation, and maybe he's not made the right choices. But even though he's kind of like doing things that aren't like super great, like stealing or whatever, like he is at least still trying to be like a dad and everything else, and do the right thing. And eventually, like I said, he changes and his ways like as the movie progresses. And I thought that was like a decent character arc. I thought they did a good enough with it. And one of the things is it's like some of the side characters in here are really good, and I can't think of his name right now, but the Hispanic guy, that dude's freaking hilarious. Like when he's telling his stories of like how he got information or whatever, that he does it at least two times in the film, and both
yeah,
times I'm like cracking up, like how he's like retelling the story, and his voice is everybody's voice in the story he's telling, and all that. Like I actually thought that was like pretty cool. I thought he was kind of like a sneaky little star, in this film that like helped it out some.
yeah, and then also how like his story, like what he was bringing up, didn't have nothing to do with what he was talking about.
Yeah, like he would tell this long story. Just the simple answer he could have gave was like the first time it could have been just like there's an old man with a safe, like, and we can
Yeah,
get it. He's not there. Like that's all you had to say. But then he'd tell this elongated story about it, and then at the very end he tells the same thing that he could have just said. Oh, they said yes. Like I just thought that was
yeah.
hilarious. Though.
Yeah, that's Michael Peña. Yeah, he's funny as hell in
Yeah.
this shit. Yeah.
As soon as you said the name, I was like, "Damn, why couldn't I remember that off the bat?" But like I've said on
Also
here
a
a couple of times,
convict.
I'm yeah. But it's like I said though, like when I'm doing these things, man, I am not the greatest at names. Like if we were doing trivia, especially like in Star Wars, I could do good if it's like, oh, so this stuff happens in the lore. But you know what? I'm probably gonna get names wrong all the freaking time, man. It's hard for
Yeah.
me to remember some of the names out here, some of these actors and everything else. But like I can speak pretty heavily on the things that happens. But yeah, man, like did you see like anything in the film that you didn't like, or did you pretty much like everything? Like where was you sitting on? Did you have any like even though obviously both of us did enjoy this film, we've already said it already. We'll give our scores at the end. But did you like have anything like to critique in this film that like maybe you thought could have been differently?
Um, just that it's the same old fucking the one character turned on another because he didn't want to do something, and from then on he like had vengeance for him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the dudes were close for a really long time, and because he didn't want him to work on the formula,
Hmm.
homeboy's like, oh well, I'm gonna copy that and take you over and take you out. Like, okay, for sure.
Right. Like I said, to me, it resembles a little bit of Iron Man, where the guy second in charge is kind of like, oh, I want to be at the very top,
Yeah.
and what have you. Just like one of those cliches. And it's like sometimes using cliches is okay, but like when you're in a film series, like the MCU was like this movies that keep, going and going and going. When you're in that kind of situation, it's not good to use the same kind of cliches like over again. Like you got to do some things a little bit differently in the formula. Like they told ultimately a little bit of a different story, right? Overall, with Ant Man and say Iron Man, but it was like the building blocks. Like there were certain things that were there, they followed those guidelines, but then they made all the things in between different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the things like going into the future with like Change C. The only reason why I came out of that film overall enjoying it, uh, it got hurt because there were so many of these like origin stories and everything else. The only thing that helped it with me that made me where I can enjoy it was the fact that it did go into some of the like Asian culture and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, is this a little different? But if it wouldn't have been set in like an Asian style culture and everything else, I probably would not have liked it. Like, I probably would have said it was crap. It had just enough different things through the movie that I like ultimately enjoyed it. Now, obviously, it gets hurt because it was so far down the line that when I grade it, I got to grade it kind of low because of that. But like, I still overall like the film. And this film right here, it was earlier on in the MCU, so it wasn't getting as hurt by that. But now that you look back on it, it's like, oh, that was like a copy a little bit. It's kind of like with Force Awakens when it comes to Star Wars. Most people love that movie. Came out of the theater. That movie broke like records, especially domestically. It still may even hold the domestic record, and not worldwide, but domestic record, because I think like Infinity War or Endgame ended up beating the worldwide record for that movie. But the thing is like a year or two passes, you start thinking about the film more openly, not as excited because it's a new Star Wars film, and you realize, oh, this is a copy. This is
Yeah.
pretty much a copy of like A New Hope overall. So you have that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you like super liked or loved about the film that stood out to you that was like maybe a favorite moment or just a favorite thing going on in the film?
Yeah, like once he had his powers down, and he was fighting people, it was cool to see him go from big to small. It kind of doesn't seem. I don't know why you'd want to be big at all because it just presents a bigger target for them to hit. You know what I mean? If you have the same power either way, but it was just cool to see that.
Yeah, the only thing that you would want to do the bigger thing is if you're facing something that's like big. Like it makes sense for him to be big, say like an end game when he's rushing the field of all these things that were coming in, like to have this battle war. He is easier to hit, like you said, but he's so big, like he can go in there and dominate, like one arm swipe like 20 guys away kind of situation. So it kind of,
I meant more like a like adult human size and shit. Like
oh yeah,
that
well,
big fighting people.
like I thought when he was fighting Falcon, for instance, I thought that was kind of cool how he was going back and forth because like there are certain things you want to be normal size, like when he did the leg scissor move on him, right? You want to be normal size to be able to do that. So I thought that was actually makes sense, and that's one of the things that's cool. Like maybe you get more power in your punch, you know what I'm saying, being regular size. So switching out to do like a punch or something like that, and then like switching back so it's hard to find you kind of situation. But also, there's like some fun things that they were able to do in this movie, and I appreciated the fact that they did them. So, like in the final fight, being done basically on like a kid's toy table, you know what I'm saying?
Thomas the Tank Train
Yeah,
himself.
yeah, exactly. So that was like a fun thing to see. Also, one of the first times where he even uses the suits, like in that party atmosphere, people's dancing on the dance floor, and he's having to like run in between all the people, like doing their dance moves and stuff like that, and almost getting
Yeah,
stomped on. All those things I thought was actually pretty cool to see. I
yeah.
went back. Look, bro, I went back in time and like it started making me remember it, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, it's crazy seeing that perspective.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of that perspective like uh with other characters. So that's kind of a cool thing that you can be creative with. Now I do think that they kind of not like I don't think they fall flat on their face entirely, but like as we get into the story of Ant-Man further on down the line in the MCU, I think they in this movie I thought they did enough imaginative stuff to make it like interesting and fun. Where I think they just kind of rested on their laurels like after that, like they didn't do any of these really cool like things and moments and stuff that you could do with that situation of him being like so tiny and putting him in like some really cool things that he has to like get through or whatever. Like it's almost like, oh, we're doing this first movie, we're gonna do some really cool scenes where like I said, the party dance floor thing and stuff like that, and fighting on the kids train table there and everything else. Those are creative and fun for the movie. But then like later on, like as you go through his story, um, and other movies that he's involved in. You don't get to see as much of that, and I think they kind of like lost it on that, man. It's like, bro, all the cool things, like I could just sit here, in a few minutes and come up with like, bro, what if Ant-Man had to do this? And it seems like they didn't do as much of that. Like him being sucked into the vacuum cleaner in this film, like those little things all added up to be like super cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they just kept with the shrinking thing. Like he just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller until Civil War when he gets big. But yeah,
No, yeah, I totally agree. But it's like I say, he's not putting enough of those creative situations to me. Like after this film, I just got a couple of moments here and there, but to me, it's just like, okay, we're gonna be super creative here, but then like after this, we do it one time. We're not gonna worry about it as much because I just think there's a bunch of fun could be had with like somebody getting super small and all the stuff that's happening around them and everything else. But yeah, I will say something about this movie. So like, we just got through doing our review of say like Thunderbolts, and Thunderbolts, like it or not, right? Like there was a lot of things that it brings up for you to talk about, right? There's a lot of outside things. You start talking about things even outside the movie because the movie brings that kind of like ideas into your head to talk about and stuff. This movie right here, although I think it's good and I think it's fun and I think it's even fun like on a rewatch after you haven't seen it for a long time, it's one of those movies where you can talk about maybe some of the jokes that hit you or some of the moments that hit you in the film, but there's not a lot to like talk about besides like a guy trying to be trying to change to be a good dad, right? I think that's a positive thing you can talk about, but besides that, you leave the movie and it's one of those movies to where yeah, there's a couple things to talk about, but it doesn't bring out like these super like deep conversations or anything.
no, but I mean, it was a comedy. Like,
Right.
yeah, I don't think that's no one was thinking that. Not that like they couldn't have that, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
But like it has moments in it that are cool, but like like some of the MCU movies, like even Civil War, maybe one of the other Captain Americas. You talk about say Infinity War, especially in some of the Avengers films and stuff. There's like these great, huge, big moments that happen, and you talk about them like years after the film. Most of the time, you only talk about Ant-Man if you're doing something like we're doing, where we're going back and rewatching it, or maybe you yourself was just, you know what, I enjoyed Ant-Man back in the day. I'm going to watch it again, and maybe you talk about it with a friend or something like that. But it's just not a huge amount to go back to be like just to talk about Ant-Man randomly. You know what I'm saying? It usually doesn't get brought up unless you're talking about a broad MCU topic, and somebody may throw Ant-Man out there. Or you're talking about another film that he's involved in. But a lot of your other films, like Iron Man, gets talked about a lot because it was the first one, obviously, that started out the gate, and you'll talk about some of the other characters. But Ant-Man kind of gets left behind a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was always a D-list character there, so
Yeah,
I
D-list
mean,
enough that like in Ant-Man, Quantum Mania or whatever, one of my biggest problems is like you got Ant-Man, you got this guy who's so powerful that he's beaten like the Avengers and other planets and other worlds, like their own version of Avengers. But then you got Ant-Man that's basically beating that guy by himself. It's like, bro, get out of here.
yeah.
Ant-Man, bro, he like fifth on the team or something. You know what I'm saying? Like if you was picking, you ain't picking Ant-Man first. You getting
Even
like
like
some
the
of
way
these
they
other
brought him
characters.
back in Infinity War, like by the rat hitting the switch on the van, and shooting him out of that machine. Like,
Yeah, that was just ridiculous.
yeah,
The
he was,
ridiculous happen chance that you have to have at that very moment for even any of that to happen was crazy. Yeah.
mm, it was such an afterthought, and then to bring in like, oh, he sees his daughter 5 years later and all this shit. Like, who cares?
All right. We did have an after credit scene, just like any other MCU film, and it was about Captain America seeing that the Winter Soldier is actually still alive and everything else. So it kind of starts leading into the Civil War aspect of it. Uh, it wasn't like a super big thing, but it was still kind of big. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember seeing it going like, "Oh shit, what's going to go down?" What'd you think about the end credit scene?
Um, Wait, which one was it again?
It's the one at the very end of the film where you see Captain America like walk into
Oh
a
yeah,
room and
yeah.
it's got like the Winter Soldier. He's like alive and he's sitting there.
Mm.
Like, what'd you like as far as the grand scheme of things when you remember watching that maybe for the first time? Because we know where the story goes now. Obviously, we're hindsight going back, but what did you actually think about like that moment when you saw it the first time? Did you get excited like, oh shit, the Winter Soldier's still there, Captain America, maybe they're teaming up, and we probably even had rumors back in those days like about Civil War happening already. Did it pump you up for Civil War and the stuff and the stories that were going to be told afterwards?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about Civil War, but I was definitely happy to see Bucky back.
Yeah, kind of got the same feeling. I remember knowing that they were going to do something with Civil War. Didn't know the complete story, but and everything else. But definitely didn't know it was going to be so Winter Soldier centric. When I say that, it's because you know Captain America and Iron Man is kind of fighting over the fact that Winter Soldier shouldn't even be allowed to be walking around, doing anything because of all the bad things that he had done over the years and stuff like that. So that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that being said, like I said, this one is going to be shorter than some of our others, just because hey, it's just me and Matt, with our couple of critiques and couple of things to talk about the film. And like I said, this is a movie that is enjoyable. It's got fun factor involved in it, but like it's not like a really deep like conversational style movie. It's like, yeah, man, I like that movie, and maybe you bring up one or two little moments that you liked about the film, but it's not like something you're going to deep dive into. But with that being said, Matt, what is the score that you actually going back and doing the rewatch? What are you giving this movie score wise?
4.5. I mean, not 4. Sorry, 4 out of 5.
He says, uh, I like it. I don't like it that much. I'm going 3.5 on this. And if you don't know, guys, if you're watching these, we're doing 1 out of 5 scores because we're doing like letterbox with these. So whenever we do one of these reviews, we get an aggregate score of like all the people on the team, the people on the panel, and some of the people that may not be able to be involved in this particular one. They still give us a score. We take an average of it basically, and that's what our letterbox score is. So if you want to go check that out, you can go to our letterbox. You can also join us with Patreon, do all those good things. Our Discord's free. You can jump in there and get involved in some of the discussions behind the scenes and just have fun, basically talking with friends and stuff like that. We do that stuff all the time. But yes, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all those great things. And till next time. Man, I was trying to think of something creative to say. Can't think of a damn thing. Well, until next time. Peace. Oh, bro, I'm stupid.